Well, hello and welcome to this session of ExecuNet Master Class. I'm your host, as always, Tony Vlahos, and my guest this hour is an acclaimed advisor to CEOs, senior leaders, and teams. He's also an amazing author, and his name is Doug Sundheim. So, what are the leadership skills and capacities that business leaders need in order to rise to the challenges of the coming decade? That's a really big question. And today, Doug will give us some guidance to help ensure both personal and organizational success. Really important stuff, and a part of our daily commitment here at ExecuNet to connect you with trusted voices, people like Doug, who can show you how to pivot to your best career and work and be the kind of leader you want to be. Well, I am delighted to introduce today's guest. Doug Sundheim is an executive advisor, a consultant, and coach with over 25 years of experience in growing businesses and helping others do the same. He works with leaders and teams of Fortune 500 companies and entrepreneurial firms to help them maximize their effectiveness. He is a frequent speaker on a variety of business topics like leadership, organizational culture, and strategy. He delivers talks at Columbia University, NYU, Society for Human Resources, and the World Research Group Conference, among others. He is no stranger to the firing line of business. Fun fact, he started a 100-person catering company in his early 20s, followed by several years in the marketing consulting field, where his clients included Sony, M&M Mars, Mattel, Motorola, among others. These days, his clients include Amex, Citigroup, Morgan Stanley, the U.S. Federal Reserve System, among many more. With that brief intro, welcome, Doug, to the ExecuNet stage. They are all yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Tony, and thank you, Kim. And I'm so glad to be here with everyone. And I'm someone who often thrives off of seeing people in person. So the best we can do is create some interaction with some chat. So please, if anything comes up that you want further information on or want to ask about, please feel free to enter in the chat, get the question in, and we're going to leave some time at the end to talk a little bit about anything that's come up. So the topic is the coming decade, leading without easy answers. It is something that is on everyone's mind that I'm talking to, all my executive clients, executive teams, people looking for jobs. It is, I think, it is kind of most easily characterized as a shifting ground underneath us right now. So what I want to talk about today is that's not going to go away. The change is the constant now. So who do we need to be as leaders? And whether you're sitting in role as a leader right now, or you are looking for jobs and talking about your leadership skills and capabilities and focus, some of these topics that we'll talk about today will hopefully help you in either of those situations. So we don't have a ton of time, 45 minutes. So I want to dive right in. This is kind of some new content. So I wrote a book about 7 years ago about risk-taking. So I've talked a lot about risk-taking, and this is kind of an evolution of some of that content given the world we find ourselves in right now. So I want to talk a little bit about that. First, right out of the gates, I want to share a quick quote. I always like to figure out exactly where quotes came from. I could never figure out where Peter Drucker said this, so I only say attributed to, but everyone says he said it. I always loved it. There's a point of complexity beyond which a business is no longer manageable. That he was saying it about an individual business, but I think right now, these days, we could almost feel business there is, in general, business can almost feel so complex that it's not manageable. I would say we're not at that point, but it certainly can start to feel like that for many of us. A lot of different reasons why that's happening right now. Here's 5 I hear all the time, I talk about. There's the complexity of technological change. Don't have to go into too much detail there. I think everyone on the call is well aware of that. Not only is it complex, but it's happening very quickly. So even the complex stuff, maybe we thought we could process in years past, times it doesn't even feel like we can process it now because it's coming at us, hitting us so quickly. There's all the things around what's called ESG. You may have heard about this. You may be dealing with it in your business, environmental, social, and governance concerns. Governance being some of the stuff around stakeholder and shareholder debate that's kind of raging in the media these days. Juggling some of those stakeholder needs, customers, employees, broader public. we have to remember they're all dealing with the same forces and changes that we are. So how we engage with all of our stakeholders is also, there's a lot of new and different things we have to do. And then obviously over the last year, COVID-19, hybrid work, I think everyone, whether you're coming back into the office right now or you're not, some version of hybrid work is here to stay. And so we're all pretty aware of that. And so leaders have to find a way forward amidst this complexity. So question, what do I do? Here's the answer. There are no easy answers. I say ironically that's the answer because as we start to wrap our heads around this idea that the answers aren't easy anymore, they're not going to be things that we can kind of find and just depend on, but rather it's this evolving evolution of answers ongoingly, we can get to feel a little bit more comfortable. What I wanted to talk about today are 4 topics that I'm seeing a lot of, I'm hearing a lot of, I'm talking about with my clients a lot, that are critical in a world where you don't have easy answers, but you still have to lead. So what we'll go through today is process in and of itself is more useful than the answers. So if you have the process, you can find the answers even as they change. The foundational importance of clarifying values, we'll talk a little bit about that. The need to cultivate what I call a paradox mindset, which is holding 2 truths at the same time that maybe are in conflict with each other or seemingly in conflict with each other. And then the value of leading as a team. This last one, we'll talk a little bit about this idea that, if there was ever a time when a leader could kind of stand up, have the answers, and heroically lead an organization to the future, which it's debatable if that ever existed. But if it did, that's many years in the past. Right now, the ability to really get the most out of a group, to be able to know that you're not the one who has all the answers, but you can together find them, is obviously a critical skill set, something I'm seeing more and more of these days. In fact, the whole concept of team coaching over the last decade, as distinct from executive coaching, has gotten a lot of traction. So let's dig right in and talk a little bit about process. Process is more useful than answers. I'm sure everyone on this call, in some way, shape, or form, has been involved in defining process for your organization, has had to live inside of process. Some of the process has been good, some hasn't. And when they work, it's very helpful in being able to deliver value for team members, for yourself, for your customers, for all your stakeholders.